UK, Australia, and now in the US, there are increasing pushes to age check content. So the in the UK, it's called the Online Safety Act. I keep forgetting the name of it. Yeah, the Online Safety Act. So the Online Safety Bill or Act is in the UK, basically age gating content that children should not be able to see. So that includes pornographic material, etc. However, the remit of the bill in the UK and in Australia now and in the US, we're starting to see from parallel pieces of legislation, it's starting to creep. So we knew this would happen because these bills are very loosely worded. It's basically anything that can harm children comes under scrutiny from these bills. So it's very much like that Simpsons meme, the won't anyone think of the children kind of thing like that. The thing is, the argument of we need to protect our children, which is a good one, is being used to push through legislation which tightens online control and requires ID, and it requires us to be tracked more online, which is problematic, very problematic. I used to live in China and it was very much like this. Everything was controlled and you have to use your ID everywhere. And in China, so the West would look at that and be like, oh, that's a bit authoritarian. We're doing exactly the same thing in the West, exactly the same thing, but we are doing it under the guise of, oh, we need to protect the children. We do, but this is not the way to do it. So what's happening is increasingly there are age verifications on, yes, adult websites, Pornhub, for example, but it's starting to creep into things like Reddit. So Reddit has an age verification. Spotify for songs that have explicit lyrics, and it's just going to keep on creeping and creeping out with more and more information being collected about us. And what we're doing is we are happily scanning our passports or scanning our faces, given biometric information, which is going to a third-party company, generally in the US, which will probably be monetized. That is information, data that it will probably be put into an AI, or it will be sold, or it will be packaged up. But something's going to happen with it, which I don't trust is going to be in our best benefits. Or there will be a data breach, and then all our passports are out there flapping the wind for everyone to see. So YouTube is one of the latest here. So they're doing it slightly differently, where they have an AI which can look at what you're watching and use that to decide if you're under 18. So if you're watching a lot of Roblox videos, for example, it's probably going to assume you're under 18. And then it will ignore the age you tell it and say you're actually 14 or you're actually 13, which is really funny because there are going to be some adults who watch, I don't know, Scooby-Doo episodes from the 1980s or whatever it is, and they watch like child content, and YouTube's going to flag them up and say, you're a child, prove your age, which is amusing. So this is, again, it's wrapped up in we want to protect the children, but it's all about online control. Where this gets really scary is it can start to affect net neutrality. So we might see other services like Flare and servers and stuff like that starting to introduce these rules as well, and to track what we're doing online, and to potentially restrict access to services, restrict access to websites based on our activities, which becomes a bit scary. And again, it's all wrapped up in language and an argument which is very hard to argue against, because immediately you will be accused of being a sex pest or a pedophile. So they're using that to squish through control. And this is happening in the UK, it's happening in Australia, and it's happening in America now. And it's all about controlling people online. I saw one of the most wonderful ways to get around this, though, was so right now, here we go, Reddit and Discord. Okay, Discord has added age verification as well. So Reddit and Discord's age verification can be defeated by Death Stranding's photo mode. So Death Stranding is a video game, a fantastic video game, one of my favorite. Death Stranding 2 just came out a few months ago. And there's basically a photorealistic version of Norman Reedus, Daryl from The Walking Dead. You probably know him as. He is the main character in the game. And there's a photo mode in Death Stranding 2. What this means is when a website asks for a photo of your face, so it can work out how old you are, people are just booting up Death Stranding, getting their camera, pointing at this photorealistic image of Norman Reedus, and then they're able to rotate him, make him smile, open his mouth, etc., in order to fool this age verification. Because now they don't just require a photo, they ask you like to look up, look down, look left, look right, open your eyes, do a smile, etc., because they want to check that you're a real person. This has been overridden by using basically a video game character, Norman Reedus in this case. So what Reddit started to try and do, people tried to work out how what was the most basic fake character they could use to bypass this. And they ended up using Gary's mod. So I think Gary's mod is from Half-Life 2, which is pretty old, and they were still able to get through it, basically. So these age verification tools are, put it this way, young people know how to get around them. Young people are going to be using VPNs. They're going to be using Norman Reedus's face from Death Stranding. They're going to be using Gary's mod. They are going to work out how to bypass these things. And the people who are left getting punished by this are older people who are uploading their passports into God knows whose server whenever they want to access adult material. So I think this is an ill thought out push in the guise of we need to protect the children. That isn't actually going to protect any children, because kids are very smart and they're going to be able to work their way around all of these age gating. They've got a lot of free time, and they talk to each other online. So they're going to be able to work their way around this. So the only people who are going to get stung by this are the adults uploading their identifiable personal information, which is then going to be probably sold on or used to train an AI or data leaked at some point. So I think the whole thing is a mess. But of course, I can't criticize it, because then people will accuse me of hating children, which is unfortunate. Yeah, it's just ongoing state control, but we can work around it. I'm surprised people haven't made AI tools to go around these. I'm sure somebody will very shortly. Let me hop over to questions. I've just lost everything.